Now, to change the subject to artificial intelligence, Peter was here earlier and discussed how NVIDIA is currently the only business that truly profits from AI. Do you already have an idea of where you believe AI will find its most significant uses? Will it make self-driving possible? Will enabling robots be involved? Are industries being transformed by it? As far as the large corporate impact is concerned, I believe it is still early. Have you developed a sense yet? I mean, at the moment, I believe that the expenditures on AI are likely to exceed the revenue. Regarding it, there is no doubt. However, AI is developing at a significantly faster rate than any other technology I've ever seen. For instance, there was a time when the Turing test existed. It is likely that a simple, open-source random LLM operating on a Raspberry Pi may pass the Turing test. The positive future of AI, in my opinion, is one of great affluence, where there is no lack of products and services. Everyone can have anything they desire, with the exception of those that we have made artificially scarce, such as unique works of art. However, I believe that as AI and robotics advance, the cost of goods and services will eventually approach zero for anything that is created or rendered. Everyone will be able to have anything they desire, albeit I'm not suggesting it will be zero. Of course, that's the good future, and I think it's around 80% plausible. Consider the positive side. The likelihood of annihilation is merely 20%. How does the 20% appear? Man, I have no idea. To be honest, in order to get a good night's sleep, I do need to intentionally suspend my disbelief in AI to some extent. And even in such case, the real problem, in my opinion, and the most likely one, is how we find purpose in a future where artificial intelligence can perform any tasks that humans can perform just a little bit better. That might be the more difficult task. However, the number of people I know who are retired is growing, and they appear to be content with their lives. Because the computer can do everything you can do a little better, there may be a crisis of meaning. Perhaps that will be difficult. In actuality, nonetheless, you require the kind of final components. Both autonomous vehicles and general-purpose or humanoid robots are necessary. You can construct anything once you have autonomous cars and general-purpose humanoid robots. Furthermore, there is no real cap on the economy's size. One limit would be the Earth's mass after all. However, the economy is actually just the average productivity per person multiplied by the whole population. There is also no real limit to the economy if you have humanoid robots, which can function very intelligently and have no real limit on the number of them. The economy has no real boundaries. Is it correct that you have recently activated Colossus, which is essentially the biggest private compute cluster of GPUs in existence? It's the most potent supercomputer available, which somewhat supports both David's and Peter's assertions that NVIDIA has reaped the full financial benefits of artificial intelligence thus far. However, there are others who have other options, and you are now one of them. Since Dojo is all about pictures and big images, huge video, you have a very particular circumstance. Indeed, the LLM problem is not the same as the Tesla problem. In reality, there are differences in the nature of intelligence and what counts in artificial intelligence. As you just pointed out, there is a lot of context in Tesla's situation. We have gigabytes of context then. Context windows, indeed. Yes, there are billions of tokens of background that explain why we're just bringing it up. A great deal of context because you have 7 cameras. If you have, say, a minute of footage from multiple high-def cameras, that's gigabytes. The challenge for Tesla is to condense a vast amount of context into the pixels that are truly important over time. Both the time and space dimensions are so involved. The pixels must be compressed in space and time, and the inference must then be performed on a little computer. In comparison, the best AI inference computer is still a little one, like a few hundred watts, designed by Tesla. We could not purchase anything better from suppliers. By the way, the AI inference computer that Tesla has built inside its vehicles is superior to anything we could purchase from any vendor. That is sort of the AI team at Tesla is really good. However, someone on your team from Tesla published a technical paper and a deck in the design, and I thought that was amazing. You created your own Ethernet transport control layer design. Oh, Ethernet isn't good enough for us, you say. Oh, we're just going to reinvent Ethernet and string these chips, you say, referring to TCOE or something like. There is some pretty amazing stuff going on there. Yes. No, the grr. Therefore, there is a chance that it may be used as a service. However, Dojo is just sort of. I suppose I have more faith in Dojo now. But I don't think we'll truly know how wonderful Dojo is until most likely version 3. A technology typically requires 3 significant revisions before it reaches the pinnacle of excellence. Only the second significant iteration will take place the following year. I'm not sure, but the third iteration might be in late 2026 or something. What is the status of the Optimus project? I recall that you mentioned in public during our most recent conversation that it was conducting some light testing within the factory. Thus, it is truly serving a purpose. What is the bill of materials, and when would it cost to produce something similar at scale? Meaning that 1,000,000 of them would be going out the factory line at the same time as the Model 3. Do you think $20,000, $30,000, or $40,000? Yes, I have found that anything produced in large enough quantities would eventually approach the cost of its constituent materials. I should now point out that the expense of intellectual property limits some activities, such as paying for patents and other things. A chip's depreciation and royalties account for a large portion of its contents. However, the chip's true marginal cost is extremely low. Optimus is clearly a humanoid robot, although it is smaller and weighs significantly less than a car. If you require any other changes, please let me know. Alright, so a few others that might still be in the mix. We did learn that Broadcom was underpriced around its earnings clearly. Ben, thanks a lot for the context and the thoughts. Appreciated. Big tech AI spending spree is causing capex to balloon into the tens of billions of dollars per quarter. That includes Microsoft, one of the biggest spenders. Our own Steve Kovac joins us to break down the impact of all these huge numbers. Steve? Yeah, Mike, and it might even be the biggest spender. Microsoft's ending 2024 spending at least $53 billion on capital expenditures, and we don't even have the latest numbers for the current quarter yet. We'll get that in a few weeks. Nearly all of that is for artificial intelligence. That means Nvidia chips, data centers, and other related infrastructure for those data centers. And it's not going to stop anytime soon. Microsoft implied we should expect around $20 billion in these capital expenditures each quarter going into 2025. The risk, of course, is investors losing their patience for a return on all that massive spending. And by the way, Microsoft doesn't even know when that's going to happen. CEO Satya Nadella and CFO Amy Hood on recent earnings calls have said the AI demand is there, and Microsoft is going to keep spending in order to meet it. Over the last year, Microsoft separately has announced at least 20 investments of $1 billion or more at various locations around the globe. That includes Spain, India, Indonesia, London, here in the United States, and many more. Those aren't just data centers. Those are training programs and other things related to artificial intelligence investment. Meantime, we don't have a clear view yet on how well Microsoft's suite of AI products is selling. Microsoft has said it's on track to generate $10 billion worth of AI-related sales this year. That's after spending about $70 billion probably by year-end. A lot of that is coming from the Azure cloud business, but still no concrete disclosures from Microsoft on that or the rest. That includes Copilot Plus PCs, which launched this year, but without its marquee AI feature. Microsoft said in May it expected to sell 50 million Copilot Plus PCs over the course of a year. But there's no indication it's on pace to meet that goal. Also, no clue how well Copilot for Business is selling after more than a year on the market. I've heard from a few CTOs that 2025 is going to be the year they assess if Copilot is worth the enormous cost and either spend more or cut back on it. And then, of course, there's OpenAI. Its losses are now bleeding over to Microsoft, its biggest benefactor. Microsoft said it expects OpenAI's losses to shave a few cents off its EPS in the December quarter, about $1.5 billion. Let me know if further adjustments are needed.